Here is a small thing that quietly erodes trust in your own business, and almost nobody running a one-person shop notices it until it bites them. You ask a simple question: how many customers did I have at the end of last month? And you get two different answers depending on which spreadsheet you open. One file says 210, another says 204, and you genuinely cannot remember which one you were keeping up to date. That gap is not a math problem. It is a governance problem. And today I want to show you what data governance means when the entire team is just you and a handful of simple rules that keep your numbers honest. I run my own small businesses, and for a long time I was the only person who touched any of the data. No analyst, no ops person, just me and a growing pile of spreadsheets. I am not writing this from a textbook. I am writing it from the specific pain of opening free files at text time and not knowing which one to believe. So everything here is the stripped down version, the way I would explain it to a friend who just realized their numbers have quietly drifted out of agreement. And I will be honest about what these rules can and cannot do, because a system you trust blindly is worse than no system at all. What governance actually means: when big companies say data governance, they usually mean committees, policies, and software that costs more than your car. Strip all of that away, and the idea underneath is simple. Data governance is just the set of rules that decide where your numbers live, what they mean, who can touch them, and how you keep them safe. That is it. For a large company, those rules fill a binder. For you, they can fit on a single page. The size changes, the purpose does not, which is that anyone who looks at your data, including future you, gets the same honest answer to the same question: why one person still needs it. You might think governance is a big company problem, that when it is just you there is nothing to govern. I thought that too, and it is exactly the trap. The risk is not that a colleague misunderstands your data, because there is no colleague. The risk is that you misremember your own decisions. 6 months from now, you will not recall whether that revenue figure included refunds or whether you counted trial users as customers. You are not governing against other people. You are governing against your own forgetting, and your memory is a far worse record keeper than you think. The single source of truth, the first rule, and the one that fixes most of the pain, is to have a single source of truth for each important number. That means one file, one place that is the official answer, and everything else is a copy you do not trust. Right now, most solo operators have the opposite. The same number scattered across a spreadsheet and emailed to themselves, a note app, and the dashboard of whatever tool produced it. Pick one home for each thing. This is your customer list. This is your revenue record. When they disagree, the source of truth wins, always, and you go fix the copies rather than debating which one is right. So short definitions document. Here is the rule that sounds boring and quietly saves you the most grief. Write down what each of your numbers actually means in one short document, in plain words. What counts as a customer? Does an active customer include people on a free trial? When you say revenue, is that before or after refunds and fees? Does a month-run calendar start to end, or 30 days rolling? None of these have a right answer. They just need your answer, written once and kept in one place. Because the real danger is not using the wrong definition. It is using a different definition each time without noticing, so your own numbers stop being comparable to themselves. Why definitions drift? The reason this matters so much is that definitions drift silently. In January, you count a customer as anyone with an active paid plan. In June, half asleep, you include the free trials because they were right there in the export. Neither choice is wrong on its own, but now your January and June numbers are measuring different things, and the growth you think you see might be pure definition. A written definition is a small anchor against your own future carelessness. You are not writing it for a reader. You are writing it so that the version of you 6 months from now counts the exact same way you do today. Consistent naming. The next rule costs nothing and pays off every time you go looking for something. Name things consistently. Pick one format for your files and stick to it, so a folder full of exports sorts itself instead of becoming a junk drawer. I put the date first, written year, then month, then day, so the files line up in order on their own. Inside a spreadsheet, Name your columns the same way every time, so customer ID is always customer ID and never sometimes cust and sometimes user. This feels fussy right up until the afternoon you are hunting for one file among 200, and the consistent name is the only reason you find it in seconds instead of an hour. Sensible excess. Excess sounds like a big company word, but even alone you make excess decisions every day. The practical version is 2 habits. First, keep a clean separation between the account that can change your master data and the everyday logins you use for quick work, so you cannot casually overwrite the source of truth while poking around. Second, be deliberate about anything you share. When you send a contractor a spreadsheet, give them a copy or a read-only view, not editing rights to your only official record. The goal is simple, that the number of ways your real data can be accidentally changed stays as small as you can make it. Backups This is the rule people skip until the day it ruins their month. Your single source of truth is also your single point of failure. One corrupted file, one bad overwrite, one laptop that dies, and the official answer is gone. So keep copies somewhere other than the one machine. A synced cloud folder covers a lot. An occasional dated export you tuck away covers more, because it protects you from the mistakes you save over, not just the hardware that fails. I am not going to tell you this is foolproof, because nothing is, but the operator who keeps a second copy sleeps better than the one who keeps their whole business in a single file on a single laptop. A light review habit. Governance is not a thing you set up once and forget. It is a small habit. Mine is a short review once a month, where I open the source of truth for each key number and just look. Do the totals make sense? Did anything jump in a way I cannot explain? Is the definition still matching how the business actually works now? This takes maybe 20 minutes, and it catches the slow drifts before they become the tax time surprise. You are not auditing yourself like a bank. You are just glancing at your own numbers often enough that nothing quietly rots for a year without you noticing where each number comes from. One more small habit that saves real confusion. Next to each important number, write down where it comes from and how you produce it. This figure is exported from the billing tool on the first of the month. This one is counted by hand from the order sheet. It sounds trivial until the day the number looks wrong and you cannot remember how you made it, so you cannot check it. Writing the source down turns a mystery figure into something you can trace and verify. A number you cannot reproduce is a number you cannot really trust, and half of trusting your data is knowing exactly where it came from. The handoff test. Here is the test that ties all of this together, and it is worth applying even if you never plan to hire anyone. Imagine you had to hand the whole business to a first employee or a contractor tomorrow morning, and you were not available to answer a single question. Could they find the real numbers? Would they know what each one means? Would they know not to overwrite the master file? If the honest answer is no, that is your governance to-do list written for you by an imaginary stranger. And the quiet bonus is that everything that makes a handoff painless also makes your own life easier today, because future you is exactly that stranger. The mistakes to avoid. Let me warn you about the mistakes I see most, because they are easy to make alone with nobody to catch them. The first is keeping everything in your head and trusting your memory, which feels efficient right up until it fails you at the worst moment. The second is duplicating a file to make a quick edit and then losing track of which copy is real, so you end up with free sources of truth, which is the same as none. The third is overbuilding this, spending a weekend on an elaborate system so heavy you never actually keep it up. The whole point is a set of rules light enough that you follow them on your busiest week, not just your calmest one. What governance cannot do. And here is the honest limit. None of this makes your numbers correct. Governance makes them consistent, traceable, and safe. But a consistent number built on a wrong definition is just a reliably wrong number. If you count customers in a way that does not match reality, tidy naming and careful backups will faithfully preserve that mistake forever. Good governance protects the trust you have earned. It does not create trust out of bad data. It is the plumbing, not the water. You still have to think about whether the number you are so carefully guarding actually measures the thing you care about. A word for the smallest operators. If you are reading this with a dozen customers and a single spreadsheet, you do not need all of this at once, and pretending you do is its own kind of mistake. Start with two things. Keep one file that is the official answer and write down what its main numbers mean. That is most of the benefit for almost none of the effort. Add the naming, the backups, and the monthly look as the business grows enough to need them. Governance should scale with you, not land on you fully formed. The goal was never a perfect system. It was numbers you can trust and hand over without a knot in your stomach. Where to go from here? If this made governance feel less like corporate overhead and more like a few sensible habits, that is exactly what I am going for. Every one of these explainers lives in writing at dataresearchanalysiscollection.com, the whole library in plain English, so you can read this one again slowly while you set up your own single source of truth, or pick up the next piece when you are ready. No hype, no promises about your results, just the plain rules laid out so you can decide what your own business actually needs. So to recap, data governance for a team of one is just a handful of light rules. Keep a single source of truth for each important number, and write a short document that says what each number means so your definitions stop drifting. Name things consistently. Guard access so you cannot casually overwrite your master data, and keep backups because your source of truth is also your single point of failure. Add a short monthly review, note where each number comes from, and use the handoff test to find the gaps. Remember that governance keeps numbers consistent and safe, never automatically correct. Start small, grow it with the business, and keep it light enough to actually follow. I will see you in the next one.